Repurposing has been a big thing in the world of recycling, reusing items. And so it is in yoga when we create a sequence, especially those of you that are teachers, when you create a sequence for a specific purpose and you decide to reinvent that each time you focus on a particular pose or a particular action of the hips or the shoulders. In this practice, we'll be looking at a pose that we've done a lot of prep for, especially with shoulders in extension and lengthening the front side of the body. We'll come to a pinnacle pose with a nice opening of both the shoulders and the front side of the body. In this practice, you might want to use blocks and a blanket or two to elevate yourself. We'll begin seated. Sit with the right foot back and the left foot forward. And as you press the right toes down, if you feel like, oh, this is way too much for my knee, then grab a block and elevate your pelvis so that it's a bit more comfortable for you. And as you sit tall, get the nice fullness in the chest. See if you can take your hands back and just open your chest nicely. Now there's lots of variations, and you'll even notice that you'll have to vary the pose on each side. If you're not on blocks, you might be able to draw yourself down a little bit closer to the floor, maybe for some of you all the way to the floor in this half Virasana, half Supta Virasana pose to really lengthen the front side of the body. As you're ready, you can come out of that pose and take the left foot back and the right foot forward. As you bend the left knee and press the foot back, you get this nice thigh stretch. And for some of us, again, you might want to get elevated to make this appropriate for the action of the knee. Keep on pressing the toenails on the left foot. If you can, come back, maybe all the way back to lie down. Go ahead and do that. But for many of us, it's a little bit too much of a stretch for the top of the thigh. Just find out and customize the pose that works for you. Come out of the pose and come to all fours position. Come to a low lunge. From all fours position, step your right foot forward. Drop the pelvis down into the pose. So you get a nice thigh stretch on the left side. Place your hands right above your right knee. Drop yourself into a low lunge pose. Press your toenails down so that you get lightness in the back knee. And if you feel like the knee is still taking a little bit too much pressure, by all means, put a towel or double fold the mat for the back knee. Now take the hands behind you and interlace your fingers. Press the knuckles to the low back and hug your elbows in toward each other. And take your shoulders in extension as you reach the hands back toward the back leg. Open the chest nicely. Get this nice openness of the front side of the body. And release your hands down to come to all fours position. Step your left foot forward. Some of us could use a little padding, so I'm going to double fold the mat for myself on this side. Place your hands right above your left knee. Draw yourself into this low lunge. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Press your knuckles first to the low back and squeeze your elbows in toward each other as a way to draw the shoulder blades in toward each other and open the upper chest. Now free the interlaced fingers from the low back. Look up, get this nice fullness of the upper chest. Draw the interlaced index fingers back a little bit more. Maybe take your gaze up. Release your hands to the mat and come to all fours position. If you'd like to come to downward facing dog or puppy dog pose to get a nice stretch to the low back, by all means. Come to downward facing dog or the pose of your choice. As a little pause between the poses here. From downward facing dog, walk your hands back to your feet. Place your hands to your low back and rise up. Step wide on your mat. Turn your right toes out. I can't do a practice without some side body stretches, which create so much length for the spine. So as you bend your right knee and keep your back leg rooted firmly, lift your arms up. And now to stretch through the side body, turn your right palm up, bring your left palm back toward the back leg, reach your right arm up and over, and enjoy this nice stretch to the right side body. Keep your back leg strong, keep your heart lifted, nice fullness. And now inhale and lift yourself up out of the pose. When we do this repurposing of our sequences, we do a lot of times the very same poses, maybe in a different sequence, maybe with a different intention. And for this practice, we'll be doing lots of poses to stretch the front side of the body and the sides of the body. And of course, we'll do external rotation of the arms to get this nice opening of the upper chest. With the left toes turned out, bend your left knee. Lift your arms up for Virabhadrasana number 2. Lift your left palm up. Reach your right hand back. Keep the back leg really firm as you reach your left arm up and over your head. Keep this nice stability of the back leg. Get more fullness to the side body. A nice gaze up. Inhale and lift yourself to come out of the pose. Release your hands. If you've got blocks, grab them for the next pose. We'll be in a standing pose at the top of the mat. Standing at the top of the mat, using the blocks in front of you just for your hands. We're not going to a deep forward bend here. We're instead just working on getting more length on the front side of the body. And the way we're doing that is through Ardha chapasana. So step your right foot to the middle of the mat. Lift your left leg up. Bend your left knee. Draw your left knee in toward your heart so that the left shin or top of the foot is very accessible to you. Now open up. Just get this nice openness in your pose. Sometimes we combine this with standing poses like triangle pose and Uttita Parsvakonasana, side angle pose, before coming to the balance pose. But it's nice to just start at the top of the mat. You feel a little bit more stable. You're not moving through several different poses before coming to the final pose. As you're ready, you can take your left leg down. Center your left foot on the mat. With your hands to the tall blocks, lift your right leg up. Engage the leg by spreading your toes. Bend your right knee. And draw the right knee in so close that it's easy for your right hand to grab somewhere on the right leg. And in the same way, Just enjoy this nice openness to the chest, nice shoulder extension, nice engagement of the right leg. Just pause and enjoy the pose. And as you're ready, release your right foot and your right hand and come to a kneeling pose. We'll be kneeling, so some of us could use a little padding. If you've got a blanket nearby, you can take yourself on the blanket to make it just a little bit more accessible for your knees. And the kneeling position, reach your right hand back toward your heel. Reach your left arm forward. Plug in, draw from the fingertips back. And reach up and over. And enjoy this nice length that you get in the front side of the body. On the next inhale, lift yourself out of the pose. Come to the opposite side. Reach your left hand back. Reach your right hand forward. I like this action of just drawing from the fingertips back to the shoulder first to get this nice opening. As you then reach your hand over your head and just get this nice fullness. Breathe in deep and out long. On the inhale, lift yourself up to come out of the pose. Now come to your belly. Again, some of us may want a little bit more padding for this. We're going to come to a bow pose. So as you come to your belly, if you'd like to use your blanket, by all means, start with your forearms down, spread your fingers, and just draw your heart forward, shoulder blades hug in. So the actions that we've been doing to really open the chest have been primarily through shoulder extension. Now with your arms forward, with your forearms pressing, it's a slightly different action. You're really moving the sternum forward as the heads of the arm bones draw back. Now bend your knees. With your knees bent, if you'd like to grab hold of your feet, go ahead. If you'd like to just reach your hands back, that's fine too. Your choice. If you'd like to hold on, inhale, lift up, or keep your feet parallel to the ceiling and inhale, reach your hands back, not necessarily holding onto the feet. For some of us, that doesn't feel so good for the knees. So your choice. Let's do this 3 more times. Rise up on the in-breath. Exhale, soften. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, soften. 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale and soften. Release your hands and come to lie on your back. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet planted. Bend your elbows and press your elbows down with the palms facing each other. In this practice, we're repurposing our sequence and the poses that we do in order to open the shoulders nicely for a shoulder stand. And there are many variations that we can go to. The first being Setubhanda Sarvangasana, this bridge pose. It has many of the elements that we're looking for. Now keep the arms very active even as you straighten the arms, as you interlace your fingers. So now similar to what we were doing in the lunge with the fingers interlaced, we're getting a nice shoulder extension. You keep on hugging the wrist creases toward each other, maybe a slight bend to the elbows. As you walk your upper arms a little closer to one another to get a nice lifting quality. Press your head back. Get your heart to lift even more fully. Now slowly release your hands so that you can take your pelvis down to the earth. If you haven't already, grab blocks so that you can slide them right under your pelvis. So lift your pelvis up. It can be one block, it could be a block on its side, it can be 2 blocks, your choice. And just support yourself here in this nice back bend. Turn your palms open so it's a nice external rotation of the upper arms with the palms facing upward. Just enjoy your breath. The purpose of poses and sequences sometimes is to draw our awareness deeper into certain areas of our body. Or other times we're using these poses in a sequence to enable us to go a little bit deeper into one pose that is often referred to as the pinnacle pose of the practice. So as you continue this nice work that we're doing in shoulder extension, keep a nice lift of the heart. Now that the sacrum is supported, the pelvis is supported, you can stay in this pose for quite some time. But if you'd like to lift your feet up to come to a shoulder stand where the pelvis is supported, by all means, come to that pose. It's a pose that is a very cooling pose for most of us. It's a pose that's great for the thyroid. And I'm bending my knees slightly. For many of us, with the knees bent, you can get just a little bit more ease in the lumbar curve in this pose. Your choice. You can stay in this pose, or for those of you that would like to come to a full shoulder stand, and it's part of your regular practice, let's set up for shoulder stand if it's part of your practice. Shoulder stand for most of us is best done with props. I'm using blocks and a blanket. Again, if this is not part of your practice, please stay in that bridge pose where you support your pelvis and your feet stay lifted. With your shoulders right by the edge of the blankets, you may wish to come to a plough pose first before lifting up. For many people, that's just a little bit too deep, but see what feels right for your body. From plough pose, you can lift your right foot up, your left foot up. Bend your knees if that's appropriate for you. Engage your legs. Get a nice spread to the toes. Hug your elbows in toward each other. Enjoy your breath. You can come out of the pose the same way you came into the pose, through a plough pose, and support yourself with your arms as you slowly come down. And allow time for Savasana. Close your eyes. Just like other yoga poses, each time you do this pose, Savasana, you might come to the pose with just a different purpose in mind. Whether that be a shift in your physicality or your attitude. It's your time to focus on the breath, to focus on the actions, the poses, the sequence, how you engaged the muscles supporting your shoulders. It's time to assimilate. So draw your breath in and out long. Allow your arms and your legs to feel like they are completely supported. Soften your facial muscles. Allow for ease in your breath. Honor yourself for taking the time for the practice, for diving again and again into these yoga poses. For continuously refining through repurposing your practice. Breathe in deep and you breathe out long. Breathe in deep and out long. Breathe in deep. And out long. Thank you for joining me in the practice. Enjoy your Savasana. Namaste.